Hey everybody, it's been a while. Had to take some time off due to work and such, but finally getting back into some vintage story. Now, to start things off, I think we're gonna do some cleanup. The overall area's been neglected for a while, and eventually I'm gonna have to get this stuff straightened out and probably put a fence around it too, just to make sure we don't get roughed up too hard as we're going in and out of the house. I'd also like to make use of some of the surrounding land, and it's hard to go in and out when there's potential enemies, wolves, and bears, and all that jazz. So, let's start getting things cleaned up and maybe gather the coal while we're at it too. Usually I will just gather like a third or half the coal, but this run, I think we'll try to be better. Let's gather the whole thing, try to clear it out, and maybe even move it to a different area. That way we can kind of bury this hole and flatten the ground and make it look a little prettier. Still quite a lot of cleaning up to do within the home. After this, we'll probably get back to trying to clean up the outside and maybe start working on that fence. But we'll see. A lot of updates have happened since I last played. Gonna have to play quite a bit of catch up, but I think we'll get there. Thankfully we weren't too far and I didn't get any errors loading up the world, so hopefully we'll be able to take advantage of everything as we normally would. I think with all the stones that we're getting from cleaning up the yard, we can probably use them to remake the buildings. A little bit of clay, put together some of the blocks and the pieces. I don't think we're going to have as many buildings, just not so much of a purpose for them, but I think it would be cool to kind of rebuild a large swath of the area and maybe have like a separate mill building and maybe even a separate forgery eventually. Although the idea of having to leave the base in the middle of the night to go do foraging or something like that is a little bit terrifying. But maybe once I get some armor, I'll be feeling a little bit more confident. Started to do a bunch of gathering, just getting all the berries and such that I could. This one was recorded on the older update where the berry bushes were much simpler, probably to put it simply. But really excited to see how the new update ends up treating this world. I've still got a couple months worth of in-game footage, in-game months, so got to get through those, and then we'll start back up with in-game August, I believe, with the new update. Right now, though, we're working through June, our second month within the Vintage Story run, and just trying to find anything we can as we're gathering berries, going through ruins, fairly unsuccessfully on the ruins, I might add, but all we can do is just explore and try to find what we can. Came up upon a trader as well. Hopefully, can slowly accumulate enough of these and pretty much have a network of traders for everything I'll end up needing. A lot of ruin exploration. Some of the ruins are cooler than others for sure, but I try to dig down in almost every single one just to make sure I'm not missing anything. Sometimes you kind of got to run around, dig at the corners, and just double check to make sure there's not anything underneath. While exploring, I also went ahead and started marking some of the bees. After getting some bees marked, I was able to go through and accumulate some resin. Hopefully I marked that on the map. I don't quite remember though, to be honest with you. And then I started getting chased by the bear. You could see its shadow behind me. For some reason, I seem to attract bears this run. Not sure why, but have had quite a lot of close encounters. Getting back home for the night, time to do a little bit of forging, a little smelting, a little bit of tool accumulation, if you will. I don't know about you guys, but I've always found the sound of the smithing, the forging, pouring the metal, all that jazz to be rather satisfying. So I'll try to include some of those within the edits as I'm going through and talking through some of the updates that have happened within these runs. Try not to bore you guys with all the footage because there's a lot of time in the game that I'm not including in these videos, but that's just so you don't see anything too boring. If you're interested though, I could always update or upload I don't know, like a basic version, just plain with the basic game footage, or even do one with commentary over the whole set of hours. Doing some nice foraging here. Once morning came, I decided I needed to reclaim my territory as my own. Too many enemies have overrun us, and so I started attacking. Killing, killing, killing. Eventually I'll flay their flesh from their bones and see what fibers they have to offer, but first I must clear the area out to make sure that they don't attack me while doing so. For some reason, the enemies just wouldn't stop coming. That little portal there just keeps spawning them. Thankfully, those portals aren't permanent, but it definitely is a drag. I think I made a mistake in using an area that's kind of not necessarily all good temporal stability, but I really like the area, so I'm going to try my best to stick with it. After all the murder, I decided to go ahead and do some yard work to calm down. I needed to clear some of the hedges, dig some of the trenches that'll go around in the fencing, and then also start on the farm. That way I've got a semi-reliable source of food. After setting up the farm and putting up the fence, I did a little bit more landscaping to make it easier to see and harder for things to attack me. I've always been a big fan of farming in Minecraft. Hopeful this farming in Vintage can produce similar yield and keep me alive, but I have a funny feeling based on all the numbers on my screen as I'm planting, it's not going to be quite as bountiful on the yield. After getting the farm set up, I went ahead and started gathering some more materials that I needed. One of the big ones is clay. I'm going to be repairing any of that ancient ruins that I'm living in. I'm going to need the clay in order to put together the stone brick. In addition, I'm going to need clay for all the molds and all sorts of different things, so decided to start accumulating. After the clay, I finally did it. Replace these crude, terrible doors with the true, solid doors. That way I feel a little bit safer when things try to attack me. Although I don't think anything will tear down these latch doors or the weak doors. It's nice to have, like, big, proper doors. Makes me feel cozy. After the base upgrades, I went ahead and started doing a bunch of exploration, cave exploring, looking for more loot. Generally speaking, was coming back to the base at night to do some forging and to fix or create new tools wherever I could. And so, and this evening, ended up doing some forging, creating some plates so that way I can get some additional light sources and create all the different things that I'm going to need. You know, when I first started smithing, I was always worried about messing this up and wasting the bars, having to make a new bar just because I messed up one piece. Thankfully, it's relatively forgiving for what it is. I'm sure smithing in real life is much harder, but I will say I've definitely made a few mistakes and had to get some extra metal going in the forge, you know? After forging, back into the mines I go. This time I decided to clear out some of the cave that's kind of right underneath me because I was getting a bit worried about hearing all the noise. Unfortunately though, I don't have any permanent means of keeping light down there. So a big part of this was just going through and killing the monsters that were there, putting torches, and hoping that they wouldn't return. Nonetheless though, we slaughtered them, flayed their skin, ate their insides, and took their fibers as our own to make bags and windmill sails out of. Once again, killing foul creatures down in the Underdark, something I kind of specialize in. Hopefully can get better spears though. Nothing like hearing the little death sound down below when they fall to their death. Checking in on my little chud farm. Things need to grow a lot faster, but we'll get there. More caves, more enemies to kill. Just need 1,000,000 temporal gears and I'll be able to teleport all around the world. While cave exploring, ended up finding some cool ruins as well. Some of them had better loot than others. These types seem to be my least favorite, where there's not really much in them. Kind of just like a lot of metal scraps that aren't necessarily helpful for me right now in my journey, based on where I'm at in the run. But nonetheless, we're making the most of it and, you know, trying to extract what value we can. During the evening, decided to do some beautification and some repairs with some of the clay and clay stones that I got. That way we can slowly kind of make this place look, I don't know, similar to what it once was. It won't be exact, but can pretty it up a little bit, right? Back into the caves and back prospecting I go. Really need to try to get bronze figured out. Then it's going to be a race to get iron figured out. Just constant needs in regards to the metals, but we'll get there. Nothing like sorting some bony soil, am I right, everybody? It's one of the best pastimes in this game. While I was sorting the bony soil, we were hit by a temporal storm. Decided to ride that bad boy out within my bedroom chamber, just to avoid the baddies that were outside. I'm not that strong yet. Once the storm was over, then decided to start getting some calcified flint. That way we can make some, what is it, fire clay? I believe that's the name. little bit of smelting to top us off on this day in vintage. Nothing like the sweet hissing of metal. Scratch that. There is something like the sweet hissing of metal. The sweet smothering of sand from sorting bony soil. Went out and realized if I'm going to be doing anything with leather, I'm going to need a lot of wood, a lot of oak. So I decided to cut down a big old oak tree. Once the oak tree endeavors were done, jumped back into doing some smelting. Realized there was a couple things I was going to need there. After smelting, back into the caves I went. Was doing some prospecting, trying to find some good stuff. Found some coal at least, and then also found some caves that had stuff like ruins, which were neat. Found some cool items within there. Ended up finding a lantern, an iron lantern, mind you, which is, feels kind of rare at this level, right? Feels like a hashtag loot get, am I right? So I was thankful to get that at the very least. But outside of that, nothing game breaking. Some cool stuff for sure, though. After that, got some more ore, ended up getting some copper. Nothing too crazy, though, and then doing some smelting afterwards. Kind of the typical day. Mining, gathering, a little bit of adventuring in the ruins, and topping it all off with some smelting new tools for the next day. Decided to take a moment to look upon my beautiful area. The fence is starting to come up. The building, it's a hodgepodge, but it's our hodgepodge. It's beautiful. Created something beautiful. While adventuring, was attacked by a bear yet again. Seems to be quite the often occurrence. I can't really kill them though, so it's a bit of a runaway strategy for the most part. Another day, another ruins. Always gambling in these cracked vessels in hopes of getting something good. Nothing too crazy, but getting some cool stuff that'll help me in the end. Prospect, prospect, prospect. It's the name of the game. Big hits of halite, but I need ores. Ended up finding a translocator pretty close to the general area that I live around. Not super close, but we'll take it. Had some good loot within there too, like some iron. Topped everything off with a bit of mining, a little bit of gardening, trimming the grass, do a little bit of smelting, a little bit of hissing, you know what I'm saying? Nothing too crazy though. Outside of that, second month went pretty well in Vintage. Wasn't anything too extremely insane. Couple bear attacks, couple deaths, nothing too outlandish. But we survived overall. The base is continuing to look beautiful. Is there anything else we can ask for? I'm not sure. Thank you all for joining me on another month of Vintage Story. Hopefully I'll be able to send out these updates a bit quicker now. I've got a backlog for one more month. Got to get through the month of July video, which will hopefully be up soon. And then we'll be back into some newer content. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.